Welcome back to the Venari podcast. To Jason Rieff. Thanks a lot for joining us again, Jason. Do you want to give a brief introduction again to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jason Rieff. I have my own lifestyle and branding consultancy. I've worked a number of years leading up a bunch of ad agencies, as well as quite a bit in the hospitality sector. I was Chief Marketing Officer of Generator, and I currently advise for a number of brands, Jumeirah, as well as Clink Hostels and a couple of others. So, Steve, thanks for having me back again. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming back. So we touched upon it briefly last time, and I thought it would be great to actually do a whole podcast around it. So, effectively, what's the difference between being a lifestyle brand and being a lifestyle choice? If we can make it specific to hospitality, that would be great. Probably a good place to start is actually defining what is the difference between being a lifestyle brand and being a lifestyle choice for somebody. Could you go into a bit of depth there?
Yeah, sure. So, good question. The slogan of my agency is actually "Don't be a lifestyle brand, be a lifestyle choice." It's a topic that I like talking quite a bit about. So I guess a lifestyle brand, in my perspective, is a brand that tries to match themselves to consumers' lifestyles, right? So they'll basically look at, okay, well, our consumers are interacting with brand X, Y, and Z, and so we as a different brand needs to kind of match the tone of voice of those other brands and needs to kind of be like those other brands, and then start looking at, well, what is the general, kind of demographics of our target group, and then trying to become a brand that fits into those demographics, right? Whereas a lifestyle choice is a brand that a consumer actively chooses subconsciously, and then makes a decision to purchase that product or to stay at that place, right? So a lifestyle choice, in my point of view, is, for example, in the travel industry, when someone's traveling, they automatically know where they're staying, right? So they'll say, I'm staying at Clink, or I'm staying at Generator, right? Because those brands are lifestyle choices. Those are brands that have tapped into the interests of the target group, not only into the actual demographic of the target group. Whereas if it's a different hospitality brand and they're asked, so where are you staying in London? They'll say, well, I'm going to check on booking.com and we'll see what the best offering is and the best kind of price point, etc. So that's kind of the difference. So I guess a lifestyle choice is something where price doesn't matter that much because you're automatically going to stay there. So kind of like the people who wear Adidas Originals, like myself, or others who wear Nike, those are the only shoes that we wear. So I've got a whole closet of shoes and I've only ever bought Adidas Originals and I'll never wear Nike. Whereas Nike people are the same. But then you have like the lifestyle brands, which would be like Puma or K-Swiss, where they know the demographic, so they kind of model their shoes to that demographic. They'll pick the colors that the demographic likes, and they'll kind of see, okay, well, everybody's going to these NBA games, so we'll place some advertisements there. But that's kind of a brand that's fitting into that demographic instead of a brand that's kind of diving into the deep interests and really activating a mindset. So that's kind of the difference. And that's the difference that my agency focuses on. But that's also the difference that I've focused on when I've worked for other hospitality brands.
Yeah, no, really good definition. Okay, cool. And then how does a brand then go from becoming just a lifestyle brand to become a lifestyle choice? What goes into that conscious effort from the brand to make that switch?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing would be that you need to dive deeper than the demographic. So you really need to start looking at what are their interests, what is the type of language that they're using, what are the other brands that they're following, what are the kind of sways that come with their everyday life, and then how do you match yourself in there. So that kind of goes a lot deeper than just looking at to what their age group is, right? What their age group and what their gender is. You actually want to start partnering with brands that they're actively using. You want to start kind of following or partnering with influencers that they actively use, right? So for example, you get multiple types of travel influencers, right? And a lot of brands in the hospitality sector, they'll look at it and they'll see, okay, well, he's a travel influencer and he matches 25 to 35-year-olds. so let's just pair with that person. But if that's the wrong type of travel influencer, for example, if that's like an outdoors nature travel influencer, and you're partnering with them because of their fan base, yet you're a city-based hotel brand or something like that, you're not really fitting into the lifestyle choice of the consumers that you're looking for. You need to partner with a different type of travel influencer, maybe not even a travel influencer, right? Maybe you're partnering with a hip hop influencer. Like if you're a brand that's targeting Gen Z, right? You want to bring like the hip hop guy to stay with you, you know, but you want to bring the party guy, obviously depending on the type of Gen Z or millennial that you're targeting. So I guess to sum that question up, you really need to look at what the interests are of your target group and start pairing with those interests as opposed to just what their demographic is.
Okay, that makes sense. And so within the hospitality space, what brands do you think are becoming a lifestyle choice at the moment, or who in the last 2, 3, 5 years, whatever, has kind of made that switch?
Yeah, so that's a tough question. I'm not going to be biased towards the brands that I've worked for, but I would say Selena, specifically in South America, is really tapping into that lifestyle choice. You know, if you're going surfing in South America, then you want to stay at Selena, right? There's a bunch of other brands there that match the kind of demographic of millennials and Gen Zs. But if you're a surfer, you're going to stay at Selena, right? I guess for Generator, if you're very much into kind of the partying and events and that sort of stuff, you're going to stay at Generator. Whereas I guess for Clink, if you're very much based on that lifestyle of activism, making a difference, kind of eco-activism, that sort of stuff, then you're going to stay at Clink. So those 3 brands all have the same kind of top line target group based on the demographic, but they're actually tapping into different interests of that demographic and really tapping into the psyche. And that's how they're becoming lifestyle choices. Whereas there are other brands where it's kind of not really getting there, specifically some of the bigger brands where they're focusing on kind of Gen Z and millennials, and they have kind of the parent company, and now they have kind of the subsector in hostels or something like that. And they're just looking at the demographic, right? Of, well, the kind of broad top line view of all Gen Zers is that they like yellow and pink and murals. So we'll just fill it up with yellow, pink and murals, right? That's kind of irrelevant to the actual subgroup target that they're targeting. So yeah, I as I said, I don't want to be biased to brands that I've worked with, but I can tell you that when I have started working with a brand, I've always tried to move deeper into the mindset and psyche of the target group. I feel that that's just more important, specifically when you're looking at things like direct bookings, right? Because you don't want to have to rely on the OTAs, but you also don't have to want to solely rely on your PPC efforts. You really just want to be the first subconscious choice that evolves into the definite choice once the ticket is purchased.
It sounds like, and I think some of the examples that you just gave there, some of these, you know, hospitality companies that are becoming lifestyle choices seem to be, you know, a newer way of thinking. And it seems like being a lifestyle brand is perhaps an old way of thinking. And you get that, I suppose, within the more traditional hotel groups, who are kind of bigger beasts, and, you know, change takes a bit more time. They don't want to upset the shareholders too much by, you know, doing anything too drastic. So no, really appreciate the insight. I think it was great to learn a bit about you know, the difference between a lifestyle brand and being a lifestyle choice. I certainly did not know 99% of that before you just said it. So thanks a lot for your time today. I know we're going to look to do another podcast at some point in the next week or so. And if people haven't already, please do check out the one we did before, where we're talking about the difference between millennials and Gen Z. So that was another great insight that you gave us. But thanks a lot for joining us today, Jason. Yeah, I look forward to talking through the next topic we've got, and we'll go from there.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, look forward to the next one.